Hello YouTube, what is up? King of Pharaoh Imps here, and I'm back with an Umbral Horror deck profile. I haven't updated this since April, so I figured I'd go ahead and, upload an updated version. And, especially with Halloween kind of around the corner, I guess this would be the better October deck profile. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So same as always, I'm using 3 of the Umbral Horror Unform. Basically what he does is, when you control him, you attack your opponent's monster, he dies by battle. Special summon 2 Umbral Horrors from the deck, can only use this effect once per turn. Basic, simple spam, he's got 0/0. So you're going to end up taking some damage, but to get, 2 more big monsters on the field, it's worth it. Of course, normally you'll go for Ghoul here. He's an 1800 beater, so a lot of the times you can beat over whatever killed Ghoul, and then go ahead and Xyz in main phase 2. He's got a neat effect. If you happen to draw any Umbral Horror with 0 attack, then you can go ahead and make his attack 0 and specimen it from your hand. So you can go Unform to double Ghoul, and then activate Ghoul's effect twice, and then you can make yourself 2 Xyz monsters in main phase 2. And then 2 Umbral Horror Will-O-the-Wisp. Now Will-O-the-Wisp, he's only a level 1, but when he's summoned, you can go ahead and target any other Umbral Horror you control or in your graveyard and copy his level, so he essentially becomes a level 4. I'm only playing 2 because it kind of sucks to draw into him. I mean, you can always bring him out with Ghoul's effect, but normally he's just like the last resort for Unform, and then sometimes Ghoul. You do need to play him because he is an Umbral Horror, and if you play only Ghoul and Unform, then you don't have enough targets for the effects. That's all for the Umbral Horror. That's all there is in the archetype except for Ghost, and I am not using Ghost. Doesn't work. Next for the support is 3 Kage Tokage, an easy summon level 4 Dark. Easy Xyz plays if you don't happen to draw into the Unform, or you can go ahead and do this with Unform and then Ghoul main phase 2. That's another way to get 2 Xyz monsters out on the field very easily. Very good monster, of course. 2 Mystic Tomato, of course. We want to summon Unform there. So, draw into Tomato, suicide him, and then still in battle phase, you can go ahead and crash your Unform as well. Of course, you will take some damage, mostly depending on what it is, but it becomes worth it if you can make something. Using 2 Summoner Monk as well. You don't play that many spells. You do play enough, though, to warrant a Summoner Monk. He's a level 4 Dark and helps with easy Xyz summoning. Sadly, you can't use him to bring out Unform and attack, because whatever summon with Summoner Monk can attack that turn. But he's still good. Next, 2 Secret Sect Druid Drew. He's very useful. He's kind of like Debris Dragon or Mass Chameleon normal, and then you can special a Dark monster with 0 attack or defense from your grave. So that includes himself. At one point I was playing 3 just because I ended up loving this card so much and it worked so well, but I dropped the 3rd one in favor of something else. And then just 1 Thunder King. Thunder King is just amazing because this deck does become a stun deck, and Thunder King being one of the best stun cards helps with that. With it at 1, I found that you either never see it in a game or you open with it, of course, turn 1. So many times I would just open with Thunder King, and it was almost an automatic win from there. That's all for monsters. Next, onto the spells. 1 Soul Charge. I've always ever only played 1 Soul Charge because I knew it was going to get limited and I didn't want to get used to 2 or 3. And this deck in particular is really not graveyard reliant. A lot of the times your stuff won't particularly get to the graveyard or even really stay there. So Soul Charge is, good at 1. 1 Regeki, good to have that back. Double MST. To hit stuff, I thought about maybe dumping this or upping it to 3. It's one or the other. At 2, it's working fairly well, but you never really know. That's always subject to change. 1 Allure of Darkness. Everything is dark except the Thunder King, so you can go ahead and draw and banish stuff. You don't care too much if stuff gets banished. You can go ahead and banish away Kage Tokages that you can't use, or Will-O-the-Wisps that you feel like you're not going to get their effects off. And then the 3 Upstart Goblin helps with drawing everything because that's useful. Of course, you can always discard for Summoner Monk as well. And then a 1 Day of Peace. that helps a lot with, say you open one day at Peace and Tomato, then you can go at Tomato into Unform and then Unform into 2 monsters. And then you'll even be protected from then. Should you ever need to, you can also stall by just not summoning anything and going one day. That's all for spells. Fairly small count, but it works. Now traps, the best part. Of course, staple stuff. Bottomless, Solemn, Compulsory. Those are all good. You could also use the time-space trap hole, just don't have one of those. And as like the 4th one, I'm using 1 Phoenix Wing Wind Blast as extra bounce power. This you probably could make the time-space trap hole. But Phoenix Wing is kind of good. Working out alright. And then 1 Macrocosmos. Because in this deck, continuous spells, continuous traps just work well. Stun things, I don't care too much if my stuff gets banished. I mean, yes, Drew works with the graveyard, so does Unform and Tomato. But in the end, being able to stun my opponent the way that I can in this deck. Then after that, 2 Vanity's Emptiness to kind of combo with the Macrocosmos, I guess. Like I said, so many times it has just so happened that I open Thunder King, Macro, Vanities, and that's almost auto win. Of course, Vanity's Emptiness is very good in this deck. You get your big monsters out, your opponent doesn't get to special summon, and then you kind of control from there. You stun and control. Very good card. 3 Fiendish Chain. I'm playing Fiendish Chain as opposed to anything like Breakthrough Skill. In this deck, continuous things just work so much better because they do. I will explain that, of course. Fiendish Chain is just very good. Also helps with keeping your opponent from attacking. Kind of ensures that you take no damage from something that might attack. And then you can ram into it with Unform after that. Then 3 Trap Stun. 3 Trap Stun to stun my opponent's traps and to turn off my Macro or Vanities whenever I need to. So very good in that sense. And also a good chainable trap as well. So that is it for the main deck. Now to the extra deck, the important part. 1 Rhapsodian Berserk, I'm trying it out. I actually very much like this card. This is pretty much how I end up beating Light Sworns. Normally I can spit out 2 Xyz monsters and I'll go like Steel Swarm Roach or something, then this thing. You know, or any other monster. Summon this, banish 2 important Light Sworns, then they're, you know, 2 less cards away from summoning Judgment Dragon. And then you can go ahead and equip them onto any other Xyz monster that you can make, because you can go double Xyz monsters in this deck very easily. So then give that monster like an extra 1200 attack. 1 Cowboy, you know, burn for game. Can also pump him up should you ever need to. Maestroke for defense, and I like Maestroke. This Roach Brothers, Steel Swarm Roach, and Exciton Knight. Exciton Knight is just, you know, simple. I like Steel Swarm Roach because it's kind of like a Thunder King also, being able to negate summons, only if they're level 5 or higher, but that does become useful, especially with things like Construct and Judgment Dragon, and anything else that ends up being very big. 1 through 360 no scope to bounce things back, and then 1 101 to take things, and for defense also. 1 Black Ship for destroying and burn, Papilloperative for flipping, King of Pharaoh Imps, yes, for searching out the Kage Tokages, you know, just getting some general advantage. A number 1 Ragna Zero helps with things that end up boosting. I make this in weird situations and then just get a very nice draw off of it after I destroy whatever might be on the field. The main boss guy, the 2 Key Beetle. What Key Beetle does is you can detach material from him, target 1 other card in the field. That card cannot be destroyed as long as he's face up. And if that card would be destroyed, you can send 1 of those targets to the field, or to the graveyard instead. So now you're kind of seeing why Vanities and Macro work very well. See, with even having only 1 Macro, it's very hard to be destroyed if you get out the Key Beetle and you're just protecting the Macro, as well as the Vanities, because stuff can go to the graveyard and it will stay on the field. Especially if you get both of these off and you're just protecting both with like 2 Key Beetles, that gets very insane. You can even go with the double Key Beetle protecting each other. I think 2 is fine, but I'm almost convinced that I really need to up it to 3, just because of how good and how important this card is becoming in this deck. I've almost essentially built the deck around Key Beetle. Then 1 Utopia, just kind of for the big beefiness. I probably will end up swapping him for the third Key Beetle eventually. And then one Masquerade. I kind of wanted something with 3 targets, because a lot of the times you get weird numbers and you can't go double exceeds, but you can spit out 3 monsters, and you might want to make something with that. I'm trying this guy out for now. I probably would use Ouroboros. My Ouroboros is actually in this shoebox here, but I'm liking this because you can stop stuff, negate effects during the battle phase, and burn your opponent for like 800, and then you can also send 1 card from their deck to the graveyard if they're playing something like that doesn't like you doing that. Also combos well with macros. If you have macro on the field and this, you can pretty much banish the top card of your opponent's deck every turn if they don't stop either one of these, so that becomes very, very fun. That is it for the extra deck. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this updated deck profile for October 2014 for pretty much my favorite deck, my Umbral Horror. You know, of course, as far as YouTube is convinced, I'm like the expert on this deck. I wouldn't call myself that, but I do very much enjoy it. I like different things. As far as like the Thunder King goes, it's been pointed out that it's a light and that I could add more lights to, you know, warrant a Chaos variant. I thought about that. You could definitely do that. In like my first build of this, I was playing Wyver Buster, and Wyver Buster is a great light for this deck, being able to give you the options for even more rank 4 Xyz and everything, as well as like, you know, the BLS or the Chaos Sorcerer. You can go ahead and try that out. I personally, I don't dig that build. Also, don't really dig Mass Chameleon because it restricts my special summons, and I just prefer most things to be dark, so I can go into Key Beetle like at a moment's notice. So anyway, if you enjoyed the content, please remember to subscribe. Also leave a like and a comment to show your support. Let me know what you think of my awesome Umbral Horror deck profile. My Facebook page is also up now, facebook.com/KingOfPharaohImps. I'll leave a link in the description. It'll probably be like right here also. So this has been King of Pharaoh Imps, signing out.